Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 161, Vacation Time. Edward POV. How could you drag him into the barn first thing in the morning, Sam? He's a growing boy. He's supposed to get some more sleep. My grandma touched my face affectionately as we sat at the breakfast table. It was only 5:30 in the morning, and there wasn't anyone else there as they hadn't woken up yet. Amy tried to wake up before, but she fell asleep in the bathroom, so I just left her there with the toothbrush still in her mouth. Grandpa wasn't feeling guilty at all and said excitedly, "You should have seen when he's milking Daisy, the cow. She's shooting milk like a fountain." She'd never done that before. We got buckets of milk from Ed's effort alone. Alone? You didn't make him do all the work alone, did you? My grandma asked suspiciously. My grandpa hesitated and looked at me for help, so I complied, "Yes, he did, Grandma. He's just standing there doing nothing." He also tried to make me milk a bull, but I was too smart to fall for that. Well, I was helping, but I didn't say that I was going to help him. "Sam?" my grandma asked in shock. My grandpa smiled and waved it off. "Ed, you're coming with me to see the horses this afternoon." I was a bit hesitant. "You're not going to make me jerk them off, will you?" "'Cause I got to tell you, I'm not going to do that in a million years." "Well, you'll do it if you're desperate enough," my grandpa said with a grin. But that wasn't it. "You still remember Stud, right?" I thought back and realized, oh yeah. He's supposed to be my horse. Yeah. He's supposed to be growing up with you. But right now, he's already a full-grown horse. It has been almost 3 years. I wonder if he's going to still remember me. I muttered casually as I ate the pancake my grandmother had made. Her secret recipe was to cook it in bacon grease, which made me devour 3 plates of pancakes right before my dad woke up. He sat at the breakfast table and my grandmother served him coffee. "What about mine?" I asked her mischievously. She smiled in confusion while pouring a cup of coffee for me. "You drank coffee, Ed? He's drinking more coffee than me per day." "But you shouldn't drink coffee right now, Ed. We're going to the hospital after this." My dad interjected before turning to my grandma, "So no coffee for him, Mom." I snatched the coffee from my grandmother's hand and muttered casually, "No need to worry. I already emailed the monitor's data to Dr. House." My dad and grandparents were surprised, although my dad's reaction was leaning more toward irritability. "You're supposed to let the doctor handle it, Ed," Dad said scoldingly. I scrunched my eyebrow and said annoyedly, "I don't want to drive 3 hours back and forth to the hospital just for them to do something that I could do by myself. I could do it right here using a simple laptop and an adapter. Dr. House already said that it's okay when he got the email, so I don't know what you're angry about." "Ed is right, Ted. Do you really want to waste 3 hours on the road?" My grandpa backed me up. "You could have spent that time working." I nodded in agreement while my grandmother looked at both me and my grandpa in disbelief. "Well, if you stopped working and relax for once, Sam, your grandson won't be like this." My grandma started to nag. "I'm going to wake Amy up." I ran to my room quickly while holding my cup of coffee. "Young man, I haven't finished talking." My grandma shouted from afar before shooting my grandpa a dirty look. He was smiling as he was proud of me, but his face turned fearful as he saw grandma's unhappy gaze. "I should get to the barn." He excused himself. General POV. I don't know what else to do. He won't stop working. Ted complained to his stepmother after Edward and Sam had left the breakfast table. "I thought I could make him get some rest over here. But he brings all of his works with him. Jules then sat in front of Ted, leaning slightly forward as she held her arm. Well, honey, you're his dad. If you don't want him to do something, then just say it. It's not that simple. Whenever we have this little tiff about work, I can't seem to win any argument he is making. That's the problem. Jules slapped Ted's arm. You're asking him to. Well, that's what a father should have done. Ted replied, confused. No. You're his dad. As long as he lives under your roof, he should listen to what you are telling him to do. Jules advised, however badly the advice was. Then he will actually buy a new house and move out. Ted replied knowingly. I can't do that to him. He hates being restricted the most. Well, maybe I can ask Amy to show him around town. A lot has changed since he last got here. Also, when Maggie arrives, she can keep an eye on him. You know how Edward always has a crush on Maggie. I don't think that'll work anymore. Ted replied while sipping his beer. Jules smiled slyly, when he saw her now. It'll definitely work. But in the meantime, maybe you can prevent him from working by, I don't know, forgetting to put his laptop in his luggage? Ted didn't catch the hint, but he packed his suit on his own. Jules shoot him a look, but, maybe, Ted, I don't know why you're not getting it. Just take his laptop away. Ah. Right. Amy suddenly appeared behind Ted, scaring him as she spoke. I smell pancakes. Amy, go spit out your toothpaste first and finish brushing your teeth. Grandma Jules scolded as the toothbrush was still in her mouth. Amy took the toothbrush off and said casually, also, I don't think that'll work. He's using his laptop to work on his apps right now. Edward POV. Luckily for me, my dad didn't tape my laptop shut like Phil was going to do in the future. He just took it away, and said that he would give it to me after dinner. In the meantime, I need to act like an actual teenager, and go outside of the house to play. Therefore, I hotwired my uncle's pickup truck and drove to the town with Amy. We're going to be in so much trouble. Amy muttered with concern. I love it. Her face changed up instantly as she enjoyed the drive. Also, don't use the road by the creek. Sharif Miller usually stakes out there. She advised. I furrowed my eyebrow in confusion and asked, why should I avoid him? She looked at me in disbelief. Because, you don't have a license? Reach into my pocket. I said casually. Amy almost did it but stopped and pulled herself back quickly. You're not tricking me. Grandma said that a girl should never do that if a guy told her to do it. What am I going to do? Make you touch my penis? My license is in my pocket. I replied in disbelief before getting my cash clip together with a DMV card out by myself. Please don't say penis in front of me. Ever again. She warned me. I nodded slightly, right. You're only comfortable with people calling it PP or dash. Stop saying it. Also. She took out my cash and spread it out on her hand. We're going to have so much fun in town. I nodded in understanding and said, okay. Just keep your hoo-ha in check. I don't want you to pee from too much excitement, dash. Stop it. She punched the air beside me a few times, and after she calmed down, she looked at me in confusion and asked, why do you have a license? Well, it's a fake one. I replied. The license was forged, but with my skill, there was no difference between that and a real one people were going to get after they passed their driving test. Because I actually did hack into the DMV system and forged myself a new one. I just paid Dylan $20 to go and pick it up for me after. And I also did a good thing afterward and upgraded the DMV system so that it could run 100 times more efficiently. However, to my surprise, it didn't change a thing about the DMV's slowness, so what I did was useless. You're going to get so grounded when I tattle about this to your dad. Amy muttered with a smile, but she didn't actually do that. It's fine. Then I won't let you buy whatever you want with my money today. I muttered coaxingly and tried to grab my cash back. She pulled her hand away and then said, what if we compromise and don't tattle to your dad, and you still buy me that Vikings t-shirt? I thought you're a Badgers fan? I asked with one raised eyebrow. She smiled evilly and said, all our family is. Don't you think it'll be fun to wear it at the dinner's table and see who I piss off? You're fun. I like you. I told her. She laughed and said, thanks. I like you too. But mostly for your money. I scoffed while she laughed mischievously. While we were at town, I had to put on a baseball cap and glasses to disguise myself. Oh, is that Miss Allison? Amy pointed out when we were driving in front of a hardware store. Miss Allison was struggling with her bags, and no one was around to help her. And it is Wisconsin. If there was someone around, they would have helped her. She was wearing a red, one-piece dress with cap sleeves and a low-cut neckline, or what can simply be called a summer dress, and it was extremely eye-catching. No wonder they said a $7 summer dress could cause you $70,000 in child support if you weren't careful. I stopped the truck next to her and rolled down the window. You need some help over there? She turned quickly, some plastic tubes fell down at the same time as she turned. Oh, Edward. Hi. I was just buying some stuff to fix my sink. What's wrong with your sink? And why did you buy, well, a lot of stuff that wasn't needed for a sink? I said as I saw within her bag. It has wallpaper rolls, some plasters, sandpaper, showerhead, and more. Well, my house still needs a lot of work, and I haven't got the time to do it since I moved here. Then, throw the stuff at the back, and I'll lend you some help. I didn't seem like it, but I'm very handy. I offered. Oh, are you sure? Miss Allison asked. The gentle breeze made her hair flap in the wind, so she had to brush the stray hair behind her ears. My heart skipped a beat and said, sure. Hop in. She was so excited that she almost did a little dance. No, scratch that. She did danced a little. What are you doing? What about my shirt? Amy whispered angrily as Miss Allison went to store her stuff. I'll buy you 2 shirts later. Be nice. I coaxed her. Be nice? Why? She asked with suspicion. Well, I kinda want to date her. So be cool. I muttered, after censoring myself for a bit. It's better than what I was going to say, which was I kinda want to sleep with her. The girl was astonished when she heard it, and when Miss Allison opened the door to enter, she was confused when she saw the frozen Amy. What's with her? Nothing. She was just surprised when I told her I did most of the renovations in my house myself. Oh. So you didn't just say that? She said coquettishly, causing Amy to be even more shocked. The poor girl was speechless there and didn't know what to do. I thought you were just coming to my house to see where I live. Miss Allison continued while shooting me a flirty look. That too. I want to know whether or not you just throw your underwear everywhere when you live alone. She laughed, and then went silent after trying to think about it. Give me 5 minutes before you get in, okay? She requested. Personally, I won't mind. But okay. I replied casually before stepping on the gas. It was only a 10 minutes drive to her house, and I helped her to carry her stuff back into the suburban house with flowers on the windowsill. It's a nice house. I complimented honestly. Amy, here's $50. You can go hang out at the mall if you want. I turned to Amy and tried to send her away. Oh hells no. I'm not leaving you alone with her. She muttered angrily. All right then. But if you're staying, then you're helping. Just to be clear. Your dad kicked you outside the house to play and not work, and here you are, coming to a stranger's house, to work more? I just see the irony here too. I muttered with a slight nodding. I helped Miss Allison by fixing her sink and was laying down under it as it was a small space for me to squeeze in. I asked Amy to turn off the water line first before opening the pipes, which was a wrong decision to make. Ed. I'm really sorry. Amy muttered with a laugh after she saw I was wet from the dirty water. I had already finished with the repair, in which I had to do it quickly to prevent myself from drowning. I narrowed my gaze at Amy menacingly, causing her to shut up. Miss Allison interjected, I'll get you some towels and a clean shirt. No need. Since I'm already dirty, I said before grabbing the hem of my shirt and taking it off, revealing a muscular stature. Both Miss Allison and Amy were startled, and Amy mouthed what the fuck while Miss Allison blanked out as she gazed into my abs. I'll help you with the shower head. Although I'm curious as to why you bought the one with the pulsating jet stream function. I smirked mischievously at Miss Allison, causing her to turn her head away and looked at the ceiling to avoid my eyes. I hit the mark with that one. A single lady's shower head was a good tool for her to pretend she got a boyfriend in the bathtub. But before I could tease her more, Amy chimed in. It's just a shower function? Amy was confused. Right. You haven't had puberty yet. I muttered while nodding my head. I already did. She shouted in frustration before stomping away angrily. She didn't leave the house, but just sat in front of the TV and watched MTV while I was working. After I installed the new shower, I gave it to Miss Allison and said, Here. Think of me when you use it. Why would I think of you here? I'm just going to be showering. She stammered. I gave her a knowing look and said, Sure. But that means that you're going to think of me when you're in places other than the shower. And that sounds exciting for me. She widened her eyes before chuckling at the tease, You shouldn't flirt like that. I'm already an old woman. She pressed my nose with her finger as if to show she was angry, but her smile betrayed what she was truly feeling. You're in your 20s. Big deal. I said before she was slipping on some spilled soap, and almost fell on her back. I grabbed her by the waist quickly and pulled her towards me. The inertia caused her to fall on top of me in the bathtub, and the shower head was turned on as I had hit the faucet. Her dress became wet and started to stick on her body. I turned to her and asked, Are you okay? While the water was still running on my head. Both of us became wet while she rubbed her leg and said, Ow, it doesn't hurt much. She was looking incredibly sexy with her skirt riding up and her bosom constantly getting wetter. We should get up, she said in embarrassment as she caught my gaze on her chest. I cleared my throat and said, Yeah. I'll grab you a towel. Thank you, Ed, she said with a blush. We locked eyes and I lowered my gaze towards her lips. Her bosom heaved up and down as she closed her lips with mine. She closed her eyes as she waited, and when I was going for the kiss, suddenly, my phone rang. Oh damn it. I cursed as Miss Allison managed to collect herself and pull herself back from the distraction. Why you should get that, she said while she was running away. After she left the bathroom, I picked up the call angrily and asked, What do you want? The truck, my grandpa muttered with a teasing tone. Did I interrupt something good? Yeah. Something really good, I complained. Oh, I'm not going to be sorry for that, my grandpa replied. I need the pickup truck to pick up your Uncle Jim and your cousin from the airport. Right. Are they almost here? I asked while rubbing my face. Yeah. That's why I'm calling you, my grandpa said casually. All right. Hey, just a thought. Why don't I go to pick up Uncle Jim and Maggie from the airport? The car only seats 3. But I think you can squeeze in 4 people there, my grandpa replied after thinking for a while. Between driving for 2 hours to pick up his family from the airport and work on his farm, it was stupid for him to say no to the offer. He didn't even ask me if I had a license. He only cared whether I could drive the car or not. I told Miss Allison about the pickup. I'll come by and finish up tomorrow. No need. I can finish the rest by myself, she replied as if she didn't want me to stay there any longer. Are you sure? I asked as I looked around. The wallpaper is going to be a lot of work. It's fine. Really? I can't thank you enough, Edward, she muttered. Oh. We got back to Edward. That's disheartening. I kinda like it when you call me Ed sweetly, I flirted. She held back a squeal and spoke in a shaky voice. Well, I am not going to be here tomorrow. I'm thinking about going on the hiking trail dash. Oh. The hiking trail. I've never been on that. So we'll go on a hike together tomorrow? Yes? She was confused, but agreed nonetheless. Great. I'll see you tomorrow. And, I'll leave my phone number here. So call me tonight when you decide on a time. I replied with a sweet smile before leaving with Amy. We saw Miss Allison in a daze as we waved at her from the door, and I chuckled as I thought of her as adorable. It was around lunchtime when I got home after picking up my family. Uncle Jim has a similar appearance to Stanley Tucci, but his mustache was thicker. He has a balding head, and a fit body despite being in his 50s. And Maggie was a good Christian girl, dressed in modest clothing, and always had a sunshine smile on her face while being in front of the adults. Maggie Abigail Cowan. I'm starving. Amy said. Oh, we should stop by a restaurant. I'm starving too. Uncle Jim replied as he took over in driving the car. I was nagged by him for a while as Amy ratted me out, despite him initially falling for my fake license card and applauded me for taking the initiative to pick them up. I saved this grudge in my Amy's book of mishaps, and would be sure to settle the score with her later. And after I bought you the t-shirts. I said while wearing a Badgers football team shirt myself. I even bought a new pair of pants after my previous one got wet in Miss Allison's bathtub. She stuck her tongue at me while Maggie smiled at the both of us. The restaurant we were stopping by was close to the airport, and I offered to pay for the food in exchange for Uncle Jim to let my fake driving license go. He accepted the offer readily before he started to brag about Maggie's impossible achievements. I was sitting next to Amy while Uncle Jim and Maggie was sitting right next to us. Oh. I really don't think that Maggie could enter college. When she burned down the barn, smoking with her friends, and told me the cows did it, I had already given up hope. But she actually created a miracle. He hugged his daughter proudly as she sat there in embarrassment. Or when she called the deepest point on Earth the Marinara Trench. I chimed in. Or when she thought Y2K was a band and not a computer virus. Amy added. No one asked for your input. Maggie rolled her eyes. Oh. I have to go to the toilet first before we drive back. Uncle Jim shook his legs slightly before running to the back of the restaurant. After we saw he was out of sight, all of us leaned in closer before Maggie said, Okay. So I guess you guys already can guess it? That I didn't really get to college? Amy and I looked at each other before we turned to look at Maggie together. Yeah, X2. I'm wondering about how you tricked Uncle Jim when you're already there. I can't believe he's not suspecting anything. I asked. Maggie smiled and explained, I gave money to a college boy there to act as a student guide, and I also make out with him a little bit so that he'll be motivated. Amy and I nodded in understanding before I asked, Why are you in California? Maggie couldn't hide her grin. I had an audition. I'm going to be an actress. Really? That's so cool. Amy said excitedly. I know, right? Maggie shouted before looking around guiltily to make sure her father wasn't listening. Oh, what kind of movie was it? I asked her. Well, they haven't decided on a name yet. But they said that they are going to hire me. They even gave me a huge signing fee. Oh. Do you have a contract? Can I see it? I asked her with a smile, but I was feeling uneasy inside. Sure. But don't let Dad see it. Maggie said and reached towards her bag before giving me a stack of paper. I read it while nodding my head, causing Amy and Maggie to be expectant. Right? It's awesome, right? Maggie added again. I pretended to be calm. Yeah. It is awesome. If your aim is to be a porn star. Chapter 162, Summer Beverage. Edward POV. What's wrong with you all? Uncle Jim was confused when he got back to the deathly silent table after emptying his small bladder. Everything's fine. Maggie replied with an ashen face, and her tone became weirdly high-pitched. Her chin quivered, as if to prevent herself from crying, but she still tried to hide the matter. Alright then. Let's go wait. I'll smoke my cigarette first. Then we'll stay right here. I replied with a smile, and a better acting than Maggie was currently doing. Uncle Jim was a bit relieved and said, "Okay. You cousins catch up. I'll call you when I'm done." "All right." I nodded at him. He wanted to speak to Maggie and Amy, but he saw that they were ignoring him, so he just awkwardly walked away. The second Uncle Jim was gone, Amy and I scolded at the same time. Amy whispered angrily, "What the hell are you thinking? How could you not notice it was for porn?" I scolded. They gave me a lot of money." Maggie tried to defend herself, but we rolled our eyes at her in disbelief. I kept reading the contract in concern while asking, "Did they have any videos of you yet?" "What?" And oh. Maggie answered in disbelief. "Hey, you're the one who signed up to be a porn star. I'm just trying to fix it." I scolded her angrily. "Can it still be fixed?" Maggie asked with teary eyes. "I didn't even take off my clothes when I got to the audition before. They just said that they like me, gave me the money, and wants me in Europe next week. It's their common MO." I explained. "They got a clause in here that said if you want to cancel the contract, you need to pay 10 times the signing fee. And also, flying you to Europe is to isolate you from people that could help you when they tried to pressure you later. 'Cause they can't really force you to do it. But they can pressure and blackmail you. It's morally wrong, but it was still legal within the scope of the law. Based on a true syndicate in our world that still roams free even though they had ruined the lives of countless girls." Amy cried and said aggrievedly, "How can they get away with it?" "Simple. Money. Maggie, although I think you'll make a decent porn star, is it really something that you want to do?" I asked with hesitation as I met her gaze. Maggie was furious, "How can anyone?" I nodded and said coyly, "Right. Also, to be honest, if I have a cousin who actually does this thing, it will be bad for my celebrity image. So, I'll help you cancel the contract." Maggie grabbed my arms tightly and gazed into my eyes. "Are you sure?" "Yeah. Give me the signing fee. I'll do something about it," I said with a sigh. This situation made me thankful that I had come to Wisconsin for a break. Or else, I might see my cousin in the adult videos websites next. Maggie then avoided my eyes guiltily. I narrowed my eyes at her and asked in suspicion, "You still have the money, right?" Aye. Amy interjected, "They gave you 20 grand. Of course it's still there, right? I mean, you can't spend 20 grand in just a few days. It's impossible, isn't it?" Maggie's chin quivered again and she said, It's gone." "All of it?" Amy shouted in confusion. "What did you do with it? Prada, Gucci, Chanel, or all of the above?" I asked. "All." Maggie lowered her head. "But that isn't all there was. I also put some deposit on a house, and paid the rent for 6 months." "Oh. So you're still sensible with your money." I nodded as I heard it. "This is a part of your fake college thingy, right?" "Yeah." Maggie replied in a tiny voice while Amy glared at her. "I also used that money to buy off the student guide to trick Dad." "Impressive." I muttered mockingly while I glared at her. "Well, if it wasn't a porn star contract, it can be." Maggie dropped her head on the table. "You know, if I want to cancel the contract, I'd have to fork out 200 grand. How are you going to pay me back?" Maggie and Amy froze. I continued, "You don't think I'm doing this for free, do you?" Maggie stammered and couldn't find the words. "If you can't, then I'm going to have to get the money from your dad. Please don't. I'll try to get the money. Please help me, Ed." Maggie begged. I sighed after I was done teasing the almost crying girl. Even though my dad and I just won the lottery, and I had over $30 million in my personal account after making investments here and there, I didn't think I had it in me to do some more charity. Girls. Ed. Let's go. Uncle Jim called, causing the conversation to be halted. As we got into the car, Uncle Jim suddenly said, "Now that we've filled up, it felt a bit cramped in here. Amy, why don't you get into Edward's lap so that we can have more space?" "I'm not doing that," Amy replied begrudgingly. "Maybe Maggie can do it." "Yeah. Like the beginning of a very special video," I muttered whisperingly, causing Maggie to blush. "Huh? What was that?" Uncle Jim asked in confusion. "Nothing. X3. We smiled awkwardly at him, and were silent on the whole ride home before we continued the conversation in Amy and I's room. General POV. Inside the Entertain Company building, CEO's office. "Okay. Email me the contract. I'll handle it," Harvey said while she was on a call with Edward. "I can dig out the dirt on these guys. Can your prosecutor friend get them locked up? They are targeting a lot of people," Edward asked Harvey with concern. Harvey shook her head. "These types of people are like eels. They are slimy and dangerous. It's better to just cut the ties with them. Who knows what kind of backer they have?" Edward sighed. Harvey then continued, "Your album releases tomorrow. I don't think you should get involved in this, Ed. Because legally, they are untouchable unless you can destroy them at the root." Then, if I track down the entire network, maybe we can do something about it, right? I'm not recommending you to do so. It'll take a lot of money to hire private investigators. It's okay. It's just a thought. Maybe I will do something, maybe I won't," Edward muttered with a chuckle. Harvey nodded in satisfaction and asked, "What did the doctor say?" "A lot of people on the internet are already praying for you who died a few days ago, so I'd like it if you can get back on screen soon. There's no rumors like that." "Don't lie to me," Edward scoffed. "Yeah. You should know. You're the source of all the rumors after all. My mistake for trying to trick you." Harvey laughed while teasing Edward. After Edward talked with Harvey for a while and explained about what the doctor said, Harvey fell in disbelief. "The doctor really let you pick the name?" "Yeah. I'm just going to go with Sleepy Beauty Syndrome. People already know about that. And I don't want to let my name be famous that way," Edward explained. Rare diseases usually use the name of the first patient who got it as the term, so Edward wanted to avoid that. While Edward was talking on the phone, Amy and Maggie were staring at him from afar, through the gap of the door, after he kicked them away to speak privately with his lawyer. Amy whispered, "He's been speaking for a while. It must be difficult to get you out of the contract." Maggie's face was ashen and she replied nervously, "Is there really no other choice? Should I come clean to Dad? Come clean about what?" Camila and Jules, the grandmother, suddenly appeared behind the girls, causing them to flinch. "What are you guys doing?" Jules asked before she took a glance from the girl's previous point of view. "Why are you peeping at Ed?" "We're not peeping," Maggie defended herself. "You need to come clean about what?" Jules asked before Maggie could prepare herself mentally. Caught off guard, Maggie accidentally muttered, "About porn." About her porn addiction. Amy interjected quickly and loudly. To their luck, Ted and his sister were walking with Uncle Jim, and heard what they were saying. "Maggie?" Uncle Jim and Aunt May exclaimed in bewilderment. Maggie glanced at Amy in shock, and she was stunned speechless about the whole situation. "No. I don't have a porn addiction." Amy whispered at her, stopping her from continuing, "Which is better? Being a porn star, or having a porn addiction?" Maggie teared up from the helplessness. Uncle Jim and Aunt May nodded their heads in understanding and hugged their daughter sympathetically and lovingly. Aunt May muttered, "It's okay. The first step to get better is admitting that you needed help. Amy snickered beside Maggie while Uncle Jim said, "Of course, this matter should be handled privately. But I'm grateful that you trust your family so much that you made an open declaration about it." "What's going on?" Edward asked while he was on hold on the call. The commotion outside the door caught his attention, so he let Harvey read up on the contract first alone. "Maggie and Amy told us they have a porn addiction." Grandma Jules muttered with a concerned expression. "You should follow us to church tomorrow, Ed. I'll ask the pastor to pray for you so that this doesn't happen again." "Grandma!" I didn't. Amy was speechless when she heard her name included in the addiction stuff, and tried to defend herself, but Uncle Jim and Aunt May pulled her into the embrace too and said, "It's okay. You're okay." Edward smiled and returned back to his call. "Sorry about that. Where were we?" "Your album release. Pulling the dateline forward is a great way to prevent Pepper from getting all fussy over you after he collapsed. But right now, Pepper almost lost his mind from the mountains of work he needed to settle before tonight. That's still good. He got drunk yesterday and role-played Marilyn Monroe the entire time after we clocked out," Harvey added, causing Edward to burst in laughter. "You laugh now, but wait till he starts calling you intoxicated at midnight," Harvey muttered in annoyance as she spoke from experience. "Ah. So he disturbs you and Donna's intimate hour, huh? Don't talk about that," Harvey said angrily. "Anyway, your album is basically ready. Are you prepared for what's after?" "I am," Edward muttered casually. "Good. As you know, including the tour and all the interviews, you might not meet your family again for at least 3 months," Harvey warned. "It'll exhaust you mentally and physically. It will also take a toll on all of your relationships. I already said I'm prepared for it. You don't need to keep selling it," Edward muttered self-deprecatingly. "You're sure that you can handle the cooking video on your own? Should I send a film crew there?" Harvey asked again after having the initial discussion with Edward on how to show people that he was still in great health. "You underestimate me. But I guess I still need a professional tool. An HD video camera. I can edit the 1-minute video on my own and upload it tonight." "Are you sure? You know you're supposed to be resting," Harvey asked in concern. Edward paused for a while and muttered helplessly, "Yeah." Edward POV. "I confiscated the luxury items that Maggie had splurged onto and gave it to my grandmother and Aunt May as a gift, earning me the position of the most loved young generation in the house." Maggie was almost crying, but she had to keep a smiling face as she congratulated her mother and grandma, which caused Amy to snicker again. For my work, luckily for me, Uncle Jim had indulged himself by buying a $2,300 Panasonic camcorder, which earned him more than a week of sleeping on the couch by his wife. I borrowed the camera and recorded a short video of me making a special summer drink to be posted on my Instagram account. You're purposely trying to be sexy, right?" my Uncle Jim asked in confusion after he saw me wearing an apron with no shirt on. "I'm not trying. I am," I replied teasingly. Unbeknownst to me, Amy and Maggie couldn't keep their eyes away from me, and Aunt May was already reacting the same way as them. "What are you making?" my dad asked curiously. "It's called Rosella Green Grape. It's nice and refreshing to drink in the summer, and that is what I'm aiming for. First, we need to crush the shine muscat at the bottom of the glass, before adding 20 milliliters of apple syrup. Then, put circular ice inside of the glass, before adding 1 serving of Yakult drink, and then top it off with Rosella tea. Lastly, we garnish it with some mint leaves," I explained to my family while making the drink. "Give it a taste." I slid the glass of 3 colored drinks in their direction. From the top, it has red, white, and green colors, and it looks aesthetically pleasing. Delicious. My grandmother tasted it first, and gave me a thumbs up. "We'll drink this at dinner today." I nodded, but then she added, "Ed will make it for all of us." I almost stumbled and asked Maggie aggrievedly, didn't I just explain the way of making it? Yeah. But I can't catch a word of what you were saying. Your nipple is trying to get out of the apron. Maggie blushed as she pointed at my chest. I rolled my eyes before starting the recording. As for the video, I shoot it in a food aesthetic style before I record myself drinking it. Give it a try this hot summer, I said with a smile before ending the video. It took only a few minutes of editing, and then I posted it on my Instagram. After I was done, I didn't even check the notifications and spent some time with my family. I helped my grandmother in cooking dinner together, more like captured and guilt-trapped into, because I was already wearing the apron. However, it was a nice moment I had with her. Right after the very early dinner, which was at 4:30 p.m., Maggie and Amy told Uncle Jim and Aunt May that they wanted to spend some time at the ranch rather than going back to their house in town. Amy looked around and shut the door after making sure that no one was paying attention to us. We put a Monopoly game in the middle of the room and sat surrounding the board. So, what did the lawyer say? Maggie asked hesitantly. Also, should I roll the dice? Or just pretend we are playing? We have already taken it out. Just roll it, I muttered before casually playing the game. Amy became the banker, and I went against Maggie. Amy. The money, I said annoyedly to the blanked-out girl. Oh. Right. Amy was startled and she did her roll quickly. Well, the lawyer said she's going to take care of it. So you can take your mind off it, I muttered as I bought land and built a house on the board. Maggie just rolled the dice absent-mindedly and said, "Oh. Okay. Good. But what about the money? What about it? How am I going to pay it back?" Maggie asked while biting her lip in frustration. You're an adult now. How do you think you can pay it back? I asked. Amy was silently watching the whole thing, and felt that the atmosphere there had become a little bit weird. Maggie thought deeply for a while, and Amy and I could almost see the smoke coming out of her flushing face as she never used her brain all that much. I gave up. Wait. I can be your girlfriend. And then the debt is off. Maggie suggested her brilliant idea. I scoffed and said, You forget my identity. If girls are what I want, do you really think I can't get them? Amy rolled her eyes at me and muttered, That's douchey. A little bit. Yes. I turned to Amy while nodding a bit in agreement. See, Maggie. Not only do you owe me, you also turned me into a douche. Amy was silent for a while before she spoke. Maggie. I know you don't want to hear this, but I really think you should tell Mom and Dad. Why? So that they will disown me? Maggie teared up again. No. But, it's better than letting Ed take the responsibility. He's the same age as me, you know? Amy coaxed. I have no objection to what Amy said. To be honest, it wasn't my burden to carry. It was Maggie's. I was only helping her because I could. Even if I really have a cousin who became a porn star, I don't think it'll matter much to my reputation except with the conservatives in this country. But who cares what they think? Maggie was silent for a while before she realized that she had been dependent on me. Of course, you can wait to tell them after I broke the contract. No rush, I muttered. Maggie nodded a bit before she smiled softly and said, Are you sure you don't want me to be your girlfriend? Isn't that like incest or something? Amy curled her lip in disgust as she shot Maggie a dirty look. It's not. We're not really related. We are half related, right? Maggie asked me. How should I know? I retorted. Well, Grandma is not your dad's mom, so he and my mom are only half siblings. So it's like, we're half cousins. If you don't want me to date me alone, you can add Amy into the mix. Maggie instigated. No thank you, I muttered quickly. Amy looked at me in bewilderment before arguing. I want to say no, but why did you say no? Am I not pretty enough for you? Yeah. I nodded calmly, causing Amy to sulk and Maggie to burst out in laughter. All right, Maggie. You land in my plot. So you need to pay rent, I said after Maggie rolled the dice. Oh. I don't have enough money for rent, Maggie said in a teasing manner. Do you accept other methods of payment? She said while unbuttoning the top of her blouse, revealing her supple white chest. Maybe. What kind of payment are you thinking of? I didn't back down. Maggie crawled purposely while locking eyes with me, and before she could touch my thigh, Amy interjected by kicking her body away, causing her to fall on her side. Stop that, you slut! Amy shouted. I laughed before I said to Maggie, who was in pain, by the way. You really have acting talent. Oh. You think so? Maggie asked in excitement. Yeah. Acting talent for pornography, I added, causing Maggie to attack me with her legs. However, as I fend myself off, I accidentally elbowed Amy's chest. Ow, it hurts, Amy said while rubbing her boobs. Sorry. But I don't feel anything, I muttered. What? Do you mean that there's nothing to feel? Are you saying I'm flat-chested? Get him! Maggie shouted before she and Amy lunged at me at the same time. It turned into a three-way fight between Amy, Maggie, and myself, and it ended with me locking both of their limb, causing them to beg for mercy as they asked to be released. General POV. On Instagram, Edward's social media page was trending after he posted the short video with unnecessarily high quality on his account. Edward Newgate, 1 hour ago. Video. Caption, as you guys can see, I'm still alive. Don't forget to support my debut album, which will be released tomorrow. Breaking will be available for sale worldwide after a good night's sleep. However, you might feel uncomfortable sleeping peacefully on this hot summer night. So try this drink, it always helps me to beat up the summer heat. Likes, 114,000. Comment, 12,232. The video was also shared around countless times on the social media platform, and it popped up on the Explore page. Some of the comments on the video were pinned after Edward read them. At Edward Fan Club, Edward. Glad to see you're healthy. At RDJ, is the naked apron thing really necessary? Edward replying to RDJ, yes. At Taylor, I'm thirsty now. Edward replying to Taylor, I know. Wink wink. A lot of comments were wishing for Edward's well-being, and little was about the drink itself. The video was then shared to MTV, and a few talk show programs, after the broadcaster negotiated with Entertain Company. The legal department of the company had to be doubled to handle the extra workload brought by the Instagram app, the WhatsApp app, and also his album sales. Not only that, the company grew rapidly after the development of the new apps, tripling the numbers of employees inside the company. However, before Harvey could finish his work for the day, an unexpected, yet a bit expected guest visited the company. The man who looked a little like Ryan Reynolds flashed his badge to the security at the main entrance to the building and said, FBI agent Wayne Bruce. I came here to see Mrs. Harvey Specter. The security guards looked at each other before deciding that the matter was outside of their pay grade and contacted Harvey for instruction. Harvey sipped the refreshing Rosella green grape drink and ordered, let him in. Chapter 163, Platinum Award on First Day? General POV. Documentary narration, voiced by James Earl Jones. 7th of July. Breaking album was available for sale in hundreds of stores all across the country. Fans queued in line to get the album, mostly consisted of female members of the population, and their male partners that were dragged along reluctantly to accompany them. A journalist interviewed one of the female fans, asking what time they started waiting in line for the album. The next footage showed the interview that had been conducted. Footage started. Gloria Delgado smiled and waved to the camera while Jay Pritchett brewed beside her. Jay mumbled to himself quietly, we can just buy it from him. We know him. We've been here since 6 a.m. I thought we were going to be the first in line, but already there were hundreds of people lining up. Gloria smiled before pointing at the huge line in front of her. I'd rather go to church than wait here like this. Jay continued mumbling. Is the store open yet? Number 5 more minutes. Gloria replied while checking her watch. In Colorado, the interviewer there interviewed the neat-looking girl with a horrendous fashion sense, Annie Edison. I've been here since midnight. But if you want to ask when did people start to queue up, it was around 4 a.m. The interviewer asked, perplexed, then why did you come here at 12 a.m.? Annie was a bit confused and replied with an expression that says, isn't it obvious? Because, I want to be the first one to get it? Footage ended. James Earl Jones continued narrating, a historic day indeed. After the beginning of the internet era of information, sales of a new artist's album was declining. However, Edward Newgate, a prepubescent, aspiring artist, managed to create a historic record in getting the gold certification status in the United States alone by surpassing 500,000 album units in sales. Not only that, he managed to break the last artist's record for the fastest-selling album, Eminem, The Eminem Show, released in 2002, which hit 2 million units in global sales in just one day. Well, Edward Newgate managed to break the record for the fastest album selling of all times, held by Michael Jackson himself, in his album, Bad, released in 1987. An album that cemented itself to be top record in the USA, 7 million units sold globally in his first week? Despite all of the amazing success, the whereabouts of Edward Newgate is still unknown. Numerous attempts for an interview were declined by his agency, citing that Edward is still in recuperation after his health scare. Edward POV. As I watched the MTV interviews about my album release, I smiled, alone inside the empty house, after Grandma made everyone there go to church for the Sunday Mass. Luckily for me, Grandma saw Amy and Maggie trying to attack me last night, so I just need to pretend that they made my cracked rib pain flared up. I celebrated after Grandma had left, and while I was trying to prepare for my hiking date, my grandpa caught me in the act and pushed me into releasing the cows onto the field while he handled the horses. I didn't think that she was going to go to church this morning. I didn't forget that Grandma said she met her at the church, so I guess I selectively ignored the fact. I muttered dejectedly. I sighed and turned off the TV before changing my clothes into a simple tank top and old jeans and went out to the field to release the cows for their grazing time. I also brought my grandpa's guitar with me to pass the time. Although he promised me that he would be quick, I didn't believe him. I sat on the wooden fence while wearing a cowboy hat and held the guitar in my hand. There's no one around. I turned to look, so I guess I can play something I like, and won't seem nerdy in front of others. Isn't that right, Apollo? I said to the old dog sitting in front of me. Arf dash. Good boy. I throw him a treat before picking the guitar strings. As I'm watching an open field, what else comes to mind except for Middle-earth? Arf. I know. There's a lot. But bear with me. I spoke to the condescending dog as he gave me a side eye. Ed Sheeran, I See Fire.
Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's souls. And should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over during suns.
Unaware that my sincere singing had captured the attention of the animals around, I was enjoying watching Apollo's reaction. He pretended not to like it, but his tail was wagging.
If this is to end in fire, then we shall all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out, Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn over and on the mountainside. High die tonight, that we should all die together. Raise a glass of wine for the last time. Cooling out, Father, oh, prepare as we will watch the flames burn open on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon the sky. Now I see fire inside the mountain. I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollow in soul. I see fire, blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me.
Moo. Quack, quack, quack. Oink, oink, oink. Beak, beak. I was startled when I realized that I was surrounded by farm animals after I stopped. I almost fell backward from the fence, but luckily I managed to hold it with my left hand to stabilize myself. What the dash? Moo. Continue. Beak. Or we'll bump you. Quack. Make you bird feed. Oink. Or bacon. All right. Shut up. I scolded the animals as they stared at me instead of running all over the field as usual. I mean, who lets you guys out? I accused the goats. Beak. Weak lock. They mooed and beaked at me while I was holding a guitar, trying to get me to play a song for them again. I hate that I can understand what you're thinking. I cursed at the cows while staring at them in dissatisfaction. Even though they can't smile or show emotions, I could sense that they were snickering at my misery. Go and eat. Scatter. Otherwise Grandpa won't let me go back home. I shouted at them, but they still kept staring patiently at me. If my grandpa saw this, he would chain me to the ranch forever. I need to handle the situation quickly. I rubbed my head in frustration, wondering why the hell did I bring my guitar here. Originally, I was planning on fiddling on it while I waited for my grandpa to come back, as he said he would. Apollo, you too? Arf! The English shepherd dog barked at me in excitement while wagging his tail, before he called his descendants to the field. Even a stray cat came with the puppies, and they kept nudging their heads at my feet, as if trying to encourage me to play. Damn it! The ice around my cold heart melted, and my expression eased up. Okay. One more. But when someone came. You guys all need to scatter. Promise me that, and I will do it. I made a deal with them. They replied in their respective sounds, which indicated that they understood me. All right. Then, follow my lead.
And this time, we're gonna get funky. Funky.
I took out my phone and played the music for Cha-Cha Slide.
Everybody clap your hands.
Quack. No ducking hand. Ah, right. Sorry. This'll make this verse awkward. I muttered as I smiled apologetically at them. They swayed their body in excitement as I instructed them to dance, at the same time doing the dance on my own.
Clap, 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 clap your hands. Clap, 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 clap your hands. All right, now, we're gonna do the basic step. To the left. Take it back now, y'all.
Nice. I exclaimed as I saw most of them could do it. If someone sees this, it'll be like the weirdest dream they've ever dreamt.
One hop this time. Right foot, let's stomp. Left foot, let's stomp. Cha-cha, real smooth.
I smiled and laughed as I watched the animals doing the silly dance of their own.
Turn it out. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time. Right foot, let's stomp. Left foot, let's stomp. Cha-cha now, y'all. Now it's time to get funky.
It's free dance time. Apollo and his puppies shook their bodies in front of me while the cat stretched itself a few times.
To the right now. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time. Right foot, 2 stumps. Left foot, 2 stumps. Slide to the left. Slide to the right. Crisscross. Crisscross. Cha-cha real smooth.
I was having fun, unaware of a worn-down car rolling to the side of the field slowly. The man inside of it rubbed his eyes a few times, not believing what he was seeing was real.
Let's go to work. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. 2 hops this time. 2 hops this time. Right foot, 2 stumps. Left foot, 2 stumps. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Get funky with it. Oh, yeah. Come on. Cha-cha now, y'all.
I wanted to continue, but as I turned back while dancing, I saw my Uncle Aaron, who just got back from handling his divorce matter inside his car, stunned speechless with his mouth agape. Quack! Scatter! The animals quickly ran away in the presence of another human being, leaving me alone there as stunned as I met my uncle's eyes. WWW. The scruffy-looking man in an oversized suit stammered. My thoughts raced to find the solution for this situation, and I finally got an idea. I smirked at him and said, "No one will believe you." Then, I walked away as I saw my grandpa coming from afar. My uncle stayed there for a while with his face blanked out. I ran away quickly before my grandpa could give me any more work, and used my uncle's pickup truck to get to the hiking trail entrance. While I was on the road to get to the hiking trail up the hill, I received a call from Pepper. "Gold Ed. Your album passed 500,000 sales in just a few hours." Pepper shouted in excitement, causing me to distance my phone from my ear a bit to protect my ear. "Well, I know it will happen based on the pre-orders. W-. Don't try to calm me down. I want to feel this rush forever. Oh my God. Pepper? Pepper, are you okay?" I asked him after hearing he was out of breath. "I'm fine. Just dizzy from the head rush." Pepper said before getting excited again, "RIAA is sending people to give us the gold album certificate today. Although, they are asking for an interview. Well, you can set it up when I get back in 2 days." 2 days? I thought you're not coming back till the 10th? Nah. I'm coming back on the 9th, before midnight. So I'll be there on the 10th. Ah, I see. Ed, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel the same rush as I do?" Pepper asked. "Well, what's with that tone? Are you not excited?" Pepper asked in astonishment. "I'm excited. I'm excited. But right now, I'm more excited about my upcoming date." "What? Ed. I can't hear you clearly." Pepper shouted in confusion. I checked the mobile network line and noticed that I have only 1 bar left. "I'm going hiking. I'll call you tonight." "Tonight? Oh. Hiking. All right. Then, all the voices disappeared and the mobile network was gone. If she's late, I will be out of the grid, bored out of my mind, and most importantly, I can't even know if something happened to her or if she needs to cancel the plan. I said before I brake the car and then changed the gear into reverse. I wanted to go back to the area where I'm still connected, but then I hit the brake again. But, if she's already there. Then she couldn't contact me to say that she had arrived. Damn it. Why the hell did we plan it like this? I tried to call her for confirmation, but the network provider said that the number was unavailable. I smiled and accelerated the car in excitement as I drove to the trail entrance, where I saw that she was already waiting for me. Miss Allison was kicking the stone on the ground lightly as she was bored out of her mind there. As she saw my car, she brightened up and waved at me quickly. She was confused when I waved back and got out of the car after putting it in park. "You're going hiking in jeans? You're going up there in heels?" I asked her back. She was wearing a black tracksuit and a black tank top, and her hair was tied up in ponytail style. She was wearing light makeup, something not too excessive as it smudged as she sweated. "No, people say that the trail is not too rough," she replied with a blushing, embarrassed face. And you listen to them? I asked teasingly. They say it like that because they live here. They are used to it. She widened her eyes in shock and said, "Oh. Then, I did something stupid, didn't I?" Well, not quite. I admire you for trying to look nice for me. I flirted before rummaging the back of the truck. Luckily for you, I was prepared in case something like this happened. These are my cousin's shoes. You can use it, or destroy it. She smiled and hesitated, before her expression changed into a look of determination. Ed. Before we go up there, I need to be clear on something. What is it? We can't date each other. Maybe in another 2 years, when you're an adult, we can have that chance. But I need to be clear on this. We're just going together as friends. My brows scrunched a bit, although I was confused when I heard she mention 2 years. Did she mistake me driving for me being older than 16? Okay then. Although that ruined my day, I'm still glad to be spending the evening with a gorgeous girl like you. She was prepared for me to get mad, but not quite prepared for a compliment, so her face blushed greatly. And no flirting too, she said faux angrily, which made me depressed as she looked really cute right now. Hey. It's either we can't date, or we can't flirt. You can only pick one. I teased her while shrugging my shoulders. She stammered a few times, and finally gave up. Although, her smile showed that she didn't really hate it. After you, I said to her as I ceremoniously opened up a path for her. We can walk side by side. The path's big enough, she said with a confused smile. But then, I can't see a jiggle. I mean. Yes, we should walk side by side, I said teasingly, causing her to hide her happiness behind a scoff. Then you walk first, she said. So you can look at my butt? No one is going to be looking at anyone's butt. Well, say for yourself, I said while glancing at her behind. She laughed and hit my chest lightly before grabbing my hand. We walked side by side as we faced the hiking trail, flirting and teasing each other all the way. After passing some slippery and dangerous obstacles, we almost reached the top of the hill. Ah! So refreshing. She stretched her arms back as she watched the view from the top. It took us only 40 minutes to reach the top, and overall, it was a fun experience. Yeah, it really is. It can't be compared to the city's air at all, I said as I sat on a rock while admiring the view. But I'm confused, she said suddenly. About what? I asked in confusion. Isn't this a popular destination? Why are there no people around? She asked while tilting her head. I widened my eyes as I remembered something my grandpa said about a mountain lion. Oh shit. We need to leave. Right now. I grabbed her arm and pulled her to get to the path again. Hey. What's going on? Suddenly, we heard a roar coming from afar. Allison turned pale, and she almost blurted something out, but I pressed my finger on her lip to stop her. This might be superstition, but I heard from my grandma, not blood-related. Is that important right now? Allison retorted. Sorry. I smiled apologetically, while she said not to mention its name. Or in this case, the name of the species, as to not attract its attention. It might seem stupid, but let's try it out. Allison nodded obediently and held my hand tightly as we moved down the hill in a rush. However, before we could crouch down to pass dangerous obstacles, we suddenly heard some rummaging from a bush nearby us. We both froze on the spot, and then a white rabbit suddenly popped out of the bush. We breathed in relief, and as I turned around to comfort Allison, I saw the sight of a muscular giant cat crouching behind us. Allison didn't notice it at first, but as she followed my line of sight, she teared up and said fearfully, "Mountain lion." Chapter 164, Big Cat Problem. General POV. The house on the ranch became busy after the family returned from the Sunday Mass. All of them were still dressed in suits and modest clothes, but Uncle Jim was already in his t-shirt as he took off his clothes in the car while they were still on the road home. It's a good thing he's not here, but where did he go? Grandma Jules asked as she wore an apron to prepare for the celebratory feast. May and Camila were helping in putting up a banner and streamers in the living room as they were preparing to give Edward a surprise. Don't look at me. I don't know anything. If anyone should know something, it'll be Amy. Maggie shrugged with her hands up and pointed to her younger sister with her mouth. Amy. Do you know where he went? Ted asked as he untied his necktie slowly. Amy silently drank her water before she said uncomfortably, I don't know. Well, you'd already told him to be here for lunch, right, Sam? Grandma Jules turned to Grandpa Sam. He nodded as he sipped his beer, and Jules understood that that was the best answer she could get from him. What happened to Aaron? Jim asked as he saw his brother-in-law blanking out and seeming to be out of touch with reality. The divorce settlement must be hitting him hard. Ted muttered sympathetically, as he knew the feeling. I'll talk to him. Jules nodded and let Ted handle the matter while she took out the potatoes. Aaron was staring at an empty wall, muttering to himself, is Edward Jesus? Or a Disney princess reincarnated into a boy's body? He tried hard to understand what just happened, as he was sure that what he saw was real. Otherwise, how the hell did the cows dance? The good news is he was no longer thinking about his divorce, or how he got cuckolded by the ex-town priest. The bad news was he thought he's currently having mental problems such as schizophrenia or delusions. Maggie pulled Amy aside and asked her a question away from the rest of the family, where's he? He went hiking. Amy replied with a careful whisper. Alone? Maggie raised her eyebrow. No. With Miss Allison. Amy replied, don't tell anyone. Why is he with her? Maggie asked, confused. Well, he's kinda interested in her. Amy replied, causing Maggie to widen her eyes in shock. Amy added quickly, but they are not going out or anything. He's interested in her, she's not going to date him. But she is interested in him? Maggie asked with a face full of excitement from the gossip. I don't know. Maybe. But Ed is weird. He likes older girls a lot. He's been talking to a high schooler 2 nights in a row. Oh. So you might say that he has a cougar problem? Maggie said, snickering at her own joke. Amy didn't get it, she's not that ferocious? She's a house cat, maybe? Maggie stared at Amy blankly, unsure whether she should explain it or not. Edward POV. The beast had brown golden fur, and its eyes were malicious. It lowered its center of gravity as if trying to pounce at us. We he dee he we ovim bawe. The wilderness turned silent for a moment as I suddenly sang. Even the big cat was confused and tilted its head. Allison was stunned and whispered with teary eyes, what, after I suddenly started singing in front of the mountain lion. I stood in between the puma and Allison, as I knew that my perks would save me. But I couldn't say the same for her. The lion kept staring and roaring at her. Without my intervention, I was sure that it would attack her as soon as it got the chance. Just trust me, I said as I glanced at her quickly. We he dee he we ovim bawe. Roar. The puma was anxious, but as I looked into its eyes, it calmed down a bit. However, it still tried to move towards Allison while licking its lips. Do the background music, I whispered to Allison. She was horrified and muttered, we're going to die. Not if you do the background music, I urged her while my palms started to sweat. We u vimowe. We u vimowe. Vimowe o vimowe o vimowe o vimowe, Allison sang reluctantly and tearfully. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight, I sang sweetly as I smiled at the puma. Seeing the kempt fur on its body, I assumed that it has some experience with a human being before. That's why I chose this song. If it ever spent time with a human being, I am 100% sure that it would hear this song once or twice or many, many times. In the jungle, the quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight, I sang carefully as I took a step back from the big cat. Allison was astonished when she saw the puma being docile and stopped at its place, no longer trying to get to her. She kept singing with all of her might as we slowly retreated from the spot. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. I sang as Allison slowly tried to pass the obstacle behind her. She needed to hold the rope tied up between the trees to pass the slippery rocks and a tiny water stream, and she had to do it while retreating, which increased its difficulty. Suddenly, the calmed-down lion walked slowly towards me, causing Allison to hurriedly chant the Wiu Vimowe without stopping. "It's okay. Just be careful and slowly retreat," I said, when suddenly the big cat nudged my hand and roared gently. "Meow, food." I turned to the crying Allison and asked, "Do you have any food on you?" "Vimowe?" She stammered and reached into her pocket before taking off some beef jerky. So that's what attracted her. I thought. I reached into the puma's head and slowly tried to pat it. Allison was scared speechless as she saw I succeeded, before I ordered, "Throw the beef jerky towards me." "You slowly retreat." "Edward. What about you?" she asked while crying, hesitating on whether to throw the food towards me, or to the bush far away. "I'll be fine. Please. Trust me," I said while looking into her eyes. The puma was still gazing at her, causing her to be stunned again. Then, she gritted her teeth and threw it towards me. I grabbed the beef jerky midair and quickly took it out of its package. "You want this?" I asked the mountain lion cheekily. "You have a death wish," Allison scolded me with a tiny voice. She finally crossed the obstacle and urged me, "Put it there and come to me." "It's fine. She's not dangerous," I said as the mountain lion started to eat the jerky in my hand obediently. Allison was still scared, and I told her, "You can go down first. I'll catch up with you." "No!" she almost shouted, causing the cat to be alarmed again. Seeing the repercussions, she quickly changed her tone and spoke carefully, "I won't leave you here alone." "All right. Wait a minute," I said as I got down on one knee and started petting the beast's fur. "You're a beauty, aren't you? But this is not your place. You should move out of this hill, or the humans will hunt you down." The puma snorted, but she kept eating the beef jerky. I smiled and said, "Sundara. All right. If we are fated, we will see each other again. But right now, I have to get her to safety, so I need to say goodbye." Roar! The puma roared as if she understood what I was saying. Then, she rushed to the bushes and disappeared. I breathed a sigh of relief before standing up. I turned to Allison, who was in disbelief and flopped on the ground as her knees gave up before crossing the obstacle skillfully to get to her. "Are you all right?" I asked her worriedly as I tried to help her stand up. Her face was ashen and my hand could feel her sweaty body, presumably from the anxiety in the confrontation before. She looked at me with a blank face before bursting into tears. She embraced me and pushed her face into my chest as she sobbed. I brushed her hair to calm her down, and after she collected herself, she suddenly looked into my eyes before inching nearer and giving me a wet, sloppy French kiss. I was a bit taken aback, but then I closed my eyes and enjoyed it. She breathlessly pulled herself back after almost a minute, prompting me to ask, "What's that for? And why did you stop?" Maybe it was the suspension bridge effect, or being in a life-and-death situation changed her mind. Right now, she didn't have the apprehension she had before and followed the mountain lion's example by pouncing on me. "That's for saving me," she said before she bit her lip seductively, and I'm stopping because she almost kneeled on the ground as she reached for my pants, but I stopped her quickly. "Not that I don't want it, but we should get out of here quickly as I don't know if there's only one predatory beast here," I muttered with some dissatisfaction towards myself. Not that I had anything against doing things outdoors, we were still in a precarious situation. She widened her eyes in realization and then blushed in embarrassment. She avoided her eyes and said guiltily, "That pulled me back to reality. Sorry, Ed. I almost crossed the line." "What? No. Don't apologize. We're just changing the place, not stopping what we almost do. I teased before I held her hand and we rushed down the hill. And the second we entered the pickup truck, she hesitated again. On second thought, she muttered guiltily as the hike down made her regain her sanity. Fuck! I cursed regretfully. As I started the car engine and drove away from there, I was unaware of the pair of gleaming, jade green eyes in the dark bush watching me. After dropping Allison off at her house, she hugged me lightly before saying pitifully, "Your hug is nice, but I think I need my mother's hug more." Oh. Where's she? Want me to drop you off? I asked with a slight chuckle. She thought for a while and said, "She's coming tomorrow. So I'll just wait." I held her hand and said in concern, "Then, I think it's better for you to spend some time at our ranch. Maybe sleep there for one night until you feel better. I promise not to make a move while you're there." She laughed a bit before saying, "I'm not going to be alone. I'll just call my friend to sleep over at my place." "All right then," I muttered with a slight nod. She then bit her lips and said, "Also, you might not want to make a move, but I don't trust myself, so." I chuckled and brushed her stray hair behind her ear. "I'll remember the deal. You know, when I'm legal, I will get my reward for today. I won't even care if you're married then." She hit my arms lightly and said insincerely, "Stop it." Then, she shot me a cheeky look before running towards her door. "Bye, Ed. See you tomorrow." I waved her off before driving back to the ranch. As soon as I opened the door, I was confused when I saw a few people standing in the living room, all staring at me. "Congratulations, Ed!" my family shouted after a 10-second moment of silence. I was confused as hell. Is that how you're trying to surprise people? Amy rolled her eyes and muttered her dissatisfaction. I told them that. After an intense discussion, they decide to let you know first before shouting anything. Amy shoo. Grandma Jules put her finger on Amy's lip. "Why?" I asked. "Not that I'm not grateful or anything." "Well, your grandma doesn't want you to get startled, in case, you know." Grandpa Sam exposed his wife. I furrowed my eyebrows before letting out a long sigh. Then, I shook my feeling away before smiling and said, "Thanks you guys." Maggie cleared her throat. I added, "And girls." She nodded in satisfaction before shouting excitedly, "Your album hits big. You've been on MTV for hours." I was a bit embarrassed when everyone praised me at the same time, and I enjoyed the small party my family did for me before receiving congratulatory calls from my friends and texts from my acquaintances. "Uncle Aaron," I greeted curtly. "Edward." Uncle Aaron did the same. Both of us didn't know how to face each other, making the atmosphere between us weird. "By the way," I said after a moment of silence before looking at my uncle up and down. "That's what you're wearing?" He was wearing an oversized shirt, and also worn-down jeans. Jeans actually looks good worn down, but in his case, it just looked old. "What's wrong with my shirt?" he asked in surprise. "Everything. You should pay more attention to your looks." I blurted out, and hid my comment inside my heart, "No wonder your wife left you." I made a one-sided promise to help him in creating a new image for himself despite his reluctance. After my grandma spoke in my favor, Uncle Aaron finally relented. "Well, Ed, now that you're rich as hell, do I still need to pay back?" Maggie tried to levy on her debt, but facing my murderous glare, she decided to shut up quickly. "Never mind," she muttered. "Good news. My lawyer texted me saying that the contract is now invalid. You are no longer an aspiring adult cinematography actress," I said. She brightened up before slumping her shoulders down. I smiled at her misery and said, "So you no longer have any reason to not tell your parents about this. Can I postpone it one more day? Just one more day?" she begged tearfully. "Sure." I nodded, causing her to gleam. "You can postpone it, but do you really think Amy will?" Maggie was stunned and turned to look at her corpse-like sister who's breaking down every second from her dedication to protect the secret. Even her teeth were loose from the pressure. Maggie finally gave up, and before she moved away, she whispered in my ear, I read that a lot of rich guys love to have young, sexy, slutty girlfriends as their plaything. And you want me to introduce you to them? Sorry, you won't make it. I continued, causing her to hit my arm in anger. I will if I want to. But that's not what I'm trying to say. You're not aiming for my wealth and want me to pamper you in California, right? I guessed with a horrified face. Although the idea of a taboo relationship is a turn-on, we're not living in Alabama, so I have to reject you right here. Oh. You're lost then. Maggie said non-committedly before trying to show her side. Now that I think about it, maybe other celebrities. Get out of here. I scolded her and chased her away. After finishing the short celebration, my grandpa called me out to the field. He was riding a brown horse while pulling the rein of a humongous black horse with him. Compared to the black horse, the already large brown horse looked like a foal. I wanted to introduce you guys again this morning, but you disappeared before I got there. Grandpa Sam said teasingly as he got off his horse. I rubbed my head apologetically before the black horse moved closer towards me. Its towering height put his shadow on my body, blocking most of the sunlight at the same time. This is my grandpa tried to introduce. Stud, right? Long time no see. Do you still remember me? I rubbed the side of the horse's head while he lowered his head to look at me. My grandpa almost stopped me from doing so at first, and was shocked when the aggressive horse was behaving meekly in front of me. How wait? Did he really remember you? That's why he's not letting anyone on his back for the past few years? Grandpa muttered puzzledly as he saw I was bonding with the horse happily. Even his own horse was trying to move closer towards me, but Stud was being possessive and snorted before moving his head violently, preventing the other horse from getting near. Nay, stingy, the brown horse snorted. Come on, Brownie. Grandpa Sam said as he pulled the brown horse's rein to move further from Stud. You still remember how to put on a saddle? He asked me. I shook my head slightly and said, I've never learned it. Well, I'm going to teach you that today. Then, maybe you can take Stud out for a ride. All right. Let's get started. I smiled at my grandpa as he started to take off the already fixed saddle on Stud's body. For tourists or casual riders, he might have let them just ride the horse without going through the hassle, but to be a skilled rider, especially if he wanted me to have the opportunity to ride alone, he needed to impart the necessary skills on me first. Or else, when an accident happened, I wouldn't be able to protect myself. He taught me how to escape tangled feet, how to use a knife to break free, and how to calm down the horse for almost an hour. When I was finally ready to ride the horse, it was already sunset. Well, my grandpa took off his cowboy hat apologetically and scratched his forehead. I think we should go back now. Or else, your grandma will rush over here with a shotgun. I was shocked, but I haven't ridden him yet. You can do it early in the morning tomorrow, if you don't disappear again. Come on, I'll let you ride back to the stables. Ugh. I groaned and finally hopped on Stud's back. He was excited and suddenly started to run away, kidnapping me with him. Oh damn it. Stud, heel. My grandpa quickly hopped on his horse and started chasing us. General POV. It wasn't until a few hours after the sun went down that Edward returned home with his grandfather. His buttocks hurt from the ride, and he went to his room quickly to rest after taking a shower. Edward fell asleep around 11, which was considered quite early for him after having such a long day. After Maggie returned, Amy went to live in her home in town, leaving Edward to sleep alone in the room. Edward has no objections about that at all. In fact, he gladly wanted to send her home himself. The next morning, Uncle Aaron, who has a promised appointment with Edward, was ordered by Grandma Jules to wake him up for breakfast. Ted had spent some time with Grandpa Sam last night, and was still hungover. Even though he promised not to drink anymore, Grandpa Sam saw that he was struggling, and decided to let him vent out his emotions. Edward as Aaron pulled the blanket, he was stunned when he saw a golden-furred beast sleeping beside Edward. He froze as the beast woke up and stared at him. Then, the beast ran away through the door without a sound, making Aaron feel that he was being delusional again. Edward rubbed his eyes as he woke up. Oh. Uncle Aaron. Did Grandma ask you to wake me up? I'll be in the kitchen in a minute. Ed, you slept alone, right? Uncle Aaron asked a question that was confusing to Edward. Huh? Of course. Amy had already left. Are you okay? Or are you drunk? Chapter 165, Crazy Stupid Love in Wonderland. General POV. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. In front of the entertain company, multiple paparazzis kept camping out for even a tiny bit of news about Edward, while the staff members were busy and working overtime inside the building. Pepper. You're going to Ed's hometown? Ronaldo asked as Pepper was standing by a line of black SUVs at the building parking lot. More than 30 staff members could be seen loading things up into the transport as Pepper directed them. Yes. Ed wants to do something there, and he needs support. So I'm joining in to break the news to him. Is this about him hitting 2 million album units in sales and hitting multi-platinum in one day? Can I join you? Ronaldo's eyes lit up. He was wondering why the company kept the information from Edward, and now he understood. It was just that the CEO wanted to tell the artist the news himself. The media was already hyping up Edward's achievement, and predicted that he will be among the rare few artists in the world that can get 10 million unit sales in the first week, and get the highest RIAA diamond certificate. That's why Pepper was being urgent right now. He wanted to tell Edward first before he got the news from the media. Pepper shook his head and said coyly, "Don't be greedy. Harvey needs you here. You just want me to deal with the reporters all by myself." Ronaldo pouted. Pepper smiled wryly as his motive was exposed. Even though Pepper loved the attention from the cameras, he found it extremely tiring today, especially since it had interfered with his work multiple times. Edward POV. Why do I still smell like a puma even though I had already showered? I sniffed my t-shirt after waking up in the morning. I caught the sight of Uncle Aaron, who had already walked away lifelessly, which made me think that he was still depressed. Poor guy. I muttered sympathetically before going to take a shower again. After brushing my teeth, I went to change my clothes into a bluish-gray suit, pairing it with a Rolex watch and yellow Ray-Ban sunglasses. Good. I looked like Ryan Gosling. I muttered as I posed in the mirror. I did the pose, the left hand wrapped at my body, while the right hand was almost midair with my fingers lightly pinching together, looking contemptuously and condescendingly at the other person from top to bottom. Great. It works. I smiled before I left my room. Whistle, come on. Let's go. I snapped my fingers annoyingly at my uncle, who was sitting at the breakfast table. Then, I frowned. Really? That's what you're wearing? My uncle was wearing a simple orange shirt and jeans, paired with worn-down sneakers. Although the clothes were fine, it wasn't a good look for him in my opinion. What's wrong with my clothes now? He said in disbelief. I guess it doesn't matter. I'll burn everything in your closet when we get back anyway. Uncle Aaron scoffed as he thought I was joking and pointed at the food on top of the table. You don't want to eat breakfast yet? I shook my hand at him, and he added, Your grandma will be upset. Uncle Aaron frowned as he reluctantly stood up. It's an hour-and-a-half ride to the city. I'm not wasting time eating breakfast here. Grandma already packed some food for the ride, I said as I exited the house, leaving behind a grumbling old man. It took us all morning, and more than 15 shops just for me to give my uncle a brand new look. I threw away his Velcro wallet in front of him, making him stare at me blankly. I also maxed out one of his credit cards, which made him groan in pain. However, do not underestimate the air of a 100-acre ranch. Breeding horses wasn't a poor guy's business. I brought him to a salon afterward and made him change his unkempt hairstyle and also shaved off his messy, patchy beard. I feel stupid, he said as I made him change into his new clothes inside the salon's fitting room. Rather than a fitting room, it was more of a stage because it was set up in a half-circular manner at the center of the salon, with only a curtain to hide the ones inside. Don't complain. By the way, Tiffany, what are you doing later? I shouted at my uncle first before flirting with the stylist. She has brunette hair and caramel-colored skin. Her smile gave off a kind vibe, but her eyes were a little mischievous. She touched my shoulder lightly as she smiled. I don't know what I'm doing later. Oh, I know what you're doing later. Really? You know? Can you guys stop flirting? My uncle said tiredly as he opened the curtain, revealing a dashing middle-aged man. Tiffany widened her eyes as she saw him, and I smiled in satisfaction as I saw my masterpiece. Clothes do make the man, I said as I went to check his outfit. A simple white shirt and a black Armani suit changed his looks from a farm boy to looking like a CEO. The key was not to wear a necktie, as although it could look better, the necktie would also give a formal appearance, as if he was a working man. This manly style suits him more as it made him look like a rich man going out to play. Something's missing. I mused for a while before taking off my watch and making him wear it. Now it's finished. My uncle was looking at me in disbelief before he checked out his reflection in the mirror. This doesn't suit me. Shoo. I shushed him and turned to the stylist. Tiffany, be honest. You'll sleep with him, right? Erin was astonished and embarrassed while Tiffany looked at him from top to bottom. She then nodded honestly. Yeah. I probably would. Erin thought she was being polite, but was flattered regardless. Now, do you want to give him your number? I asked again. Tiffany paused for a while before she smiled. Yeah. Then, she wrote her number on a piece of paper and gave it to Erin. Call me. He will meet you at Julie's restaurant for dinner tonight, at 7 o'clock. I replied for him before he could even open his mouth. Tiffany didn't have any objection and said, I'll look forward to it. She touched his arm slightly before she turned and walked away, slightly swaying her hips as she did. My uncle was still in disbelief as to what just happened, and his eyes couldn't help but go blank as he watched her backside. After getting my uncle a date for the night, we need to settle the next crucial thing. What no? He protested immediately as he heard the next plan. Then, you really want to pick up your date in this worn-down car? Even the pigs at the farm won't get on this piece of shit. I said sarcastically as I directed him to a nearest car dealership. Erin was silent, and then he asked, Why are you doing this, Ed? Why go through so much trouble? Revenge. I replied jokingly, causing him to widen his eyes in shock. I'm just joking. Although, you still owe me for thinking my mom is a lesbian and made me homophobic for a few years. Joking aside, you can say that I miss my uncle. I said without looking at him. The uncle that jokes around, chases after me with a chicken in his hand to make me cry, the uncle that will crack up inappropriate jokes at the most inappropriate moment, and not this broody, Batman after his parents were killed kinda uncle. Times are tough for you right now. I may not understand what you're feeling, but I do have the experience of someone close to me betraying me too. Uncle Aaron's eyes reddened, but he didn't break down. He smiled and then asked, So, you're trying to make me mad by spending all of my money? No, that part is actually genuine. Your fashion sense is really unappealing. I just thought that the shopping stuff will help you like it did me. What do you mean? He asked, confused. I smacked my lips as I knew that I spoke too much and was hesitant. Maybe your experience will help me? Uncle Aaron said in a gentle tone, which made me feel a little bit guilty if I didn't say it. Maybe, alright, the reason I brought you shopping, even though it was embarrassing to admit, my life changed, and even my career started, during my first shopping trip. Explain. Uncle Aaron was confused. Well, I went shopping with Pepper, Cam, and Mitchell. You know them, right? He nodded and let me continue without interrupting. To thank them, I offered to sing a song I wrote, and then it exploded on YouTube. It started a whole new life for me. Now, my album is selling like crazy, and it all begins from there. I said in a melancholic manner. So, you're trying to give me a fresh start? he said with a touched expression, which made me scowl in disgust. Wipe that expression off your face. We're here, I said angrily to hide my embarrassment as the car pulled into the car dealership parking lot. My uncle smiled as I walked out of the car, and he sat at the driver's seat for a while to process his thoughts before getting out. I was talking to the agent there, and after my uncle joined me, we went to check out a few cars before I fell in love with one of them. Unfortunately, my uncle decided on another one. I'll take that Lexus, he said to the agent. Are you an idiot? I smacked his chest before pointing at the sleek black, 67 Chevrolet Impala in front of me. You're taking this one. What? No. I don't like it that much. I want to use a hybrid car. It'll be good for the environment. You're joking, right? I rolled my eyes at him before retorting. This is the CAR from Supernatural. It's cheap now, well, not that cheap, but it'll be extremely expensive in a few more years. Not to mention that Gary here refitted the entire thing skillfully, that there's almost no difference compared to a brand new car. Yeah. I was thinking of using it myself, but my wife won't let me. Gary added with a look of pity on his face. But dash. No buts. I said decisively before forcing him to sign the deal. He was a bit taken aback, but he relented after a thorough brainwashing from me. When he went on a date with Tiffany tonight, his little bit of resentment from being forced into it disappeared completely. Turns out, she was a huge fan of the show. She loved it so much that she actually forgot about her panty and bra in the car after whatever it was they did inside of it, which was found by my grandmother the next morning. My work here is done, I muttered. Pepper finally arrived at the ranch. And when I told my dad about my plans, he was displeased that I couldn't split myself away from work for more than a few days. I just want to record a short video about the ranch and have an online fan meet first before the actual fan meet later on. I complained in dissatisfaction to Maggie and Amy as we followed the crew around the ranch. Ed, what is the plan here? What is the purpose of your short video? Pepper asked. It's a blog. I just thought it'll be fun. And the fans would like to know more about me. So I decided, why not? I replied to Pepper as he nodded. But there's no script, he said in concern. I'm not planning a serious blog. It's just for fun. I'll introduce the ranch and my daily life here. It's a 20-minute video, max. Then, I proceed to drag the team around for over 10 straight hours as we shoot the video. It was a challenge to shoot the scenes at night, but the company has a custom video camera, built from my blueprints, so the video quality didn't decline. In fact, the starry night sky was clear to see on the screen, prompting the director to salivate and shoot a lot more picture-square scenes. I'm tired, I said as I laid down on the grass on the open field. Maggie and Amy lie down with me, with our heads close together. Don't you mean fatty goo? Maggie snickered. Amy and I were confused and we glanced at her. What? Fatty goo? She muttered again, confused as to why we were reacting like that. Do you mean fatigued? I asked with my lips curling up. Amy broke into laughter while Maggie cupped her face with her hands in embarrassment. Ha 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 ha. Fatty goo. We have another marinara trench moment. Amy laughed until her stomach hurt. I also laughed, but I applauded Maggie for trying too. I guess she read the word somewhere instead of hearing it, so that's why it happened. Ed. You're now famous all over the world, Amy said after we calmed down. But, you've never sung in front of us before. Yeah. What's that about? Maggie added in a dissatisfied tone, but she actually just wanted to push the spotlight on me. Why would I sing in front of you poor people? I said condescendingly, causing me to get beat up by the both of them. After the coercion failed, they begged me to do it, so I did it with a guitar in my hand while sitting cross-legged on the ground. General POV. Edward picked the guitar as he played a soft melody. Amy and Maggie looked at him with glittering eyes, while the staff members stopped what they were doing and looked into the trio's direction. Artist, Anson Sebra, song, Welcome to Wonderland.
Welcome to Wonderland, we've got it all. Potions and pastries that make you grow tall. Forests and cottages, castles and carts that can talk.
Pepper has a fatherly smile on his face, while Ted walked towards the trio, but stopped before he could destroy the vibe there.
Welcome to Wonderland, look where you're at. Maddest of hatters, the Cheshire Cat. Magical cabins and lovely white rabbits with clocks.
Amy shook her legs as she thought excitedly, is this a song about this place?
Dancing through a dream underneath the stars. Laughing till the morning comes.
Amy and Maggie looked at each other before they laughed softly. Edward smiled before he looked into the sky with a melancholic expression.
Everyone that leaves has a heavy heart. Oh, Wonderland I love.
Ted finally broke into a sincere smile after having a tough few days. Pepper decided to join in, and the staff members could hear the songs through Edward's microphone that was clipped on his shirt he forgot to turn off.
Welcome to Wonderland, I'll be your guide, holding your hand under sapphire skies. Let's go exploring, or we could just go for a walk.
Memories about a special place Ted had always played with his brothers on the hill resurfaced in his mind. He thought he had forgotten all about it, but surprisingly it was still there. Not only Ted, but all the people who heard the song fell into nostalgia of a time when everything was interesting, everything was easy, when they looked at the world with a childlike wonder instead of having the heavy burden of being an adult.
Welcome to Wonderland, where should we go? There's a tea party along down the road. Make an appearance and maybe they'll sing us a song.
A golden-furred puma heard the song from a tree nearby, and it fell into reminiscence about the time he had with his owner. It closed its eyes as he slept on the tree branch.
Dancing through a dream underneath the stars. Laughing till the morning comes. Everyone that leaves has a heavy heart. Oh, Wonderland I love.
Pepper choked up, and he was startled as he found himself almost saying, I don't want to leave.
Nothing around here is quite as it seems. Not sure if anything's real or a dream. And the only thing sure from the start is the song that's inside of your heart. Don't let it leave.
Edward closed his eyes as he paused for a moment. Then, he opened it back up and smiled at the family members who were watching him.
If this was a dream, then at least I've got memories for when morning comes. Now that I must leave with a heavy heart. Oh, Wonderland I love.
As Edward stopped singing, the audience applauded as hard as they could. Maggie was astonished, you're really a singer. Edward knocked her head with the guitar lightly, I literally have an album. Maggie rubbed her temple in pain while Amy laughed at her misery. Pepper wiped his tears as he walked toward Ed, I have an idea. Why don't we use the song in the short video? Then I'm going to need proper recording equipment. Edward had no objections about it and agreed easily. Ted didn't allow Edward to play around more and sent all of the teenagers to sleep. Are you all right, Ted? Pepper asked after he saw Ted's sullen face. The blanked-out Ted snapped back to reality. Huh? Oh, I'm fine. Are you sure? You don't look fine. Pepper patted Ted's shoulder to comfort him. I may know what you're feeling, if you want to talk about it. You know? Ted chuckled a bit. Pepper scoffed before he calmed down. My son went to serve. One day, I received a call from his commander. He was hit, and he shows no signs of waking up. Ted's hand shivered, and his ears started ringing as the memory of when Edward stopped breathing flashed into his mind. I'm not saying I know what you're feeling, but at the very least, I can listen. Pepper added, trying to get Ted to open up. However, he noticed that Ted was behaving strangely. Ted? Are you okay? Ted? Pepper tried to call him, but Ted couldn't hear anything except the loud ringing in his ears before everything became silent. His heart rate elevated, and his hands started shaking. Ted was having a panic attack, and Pepper tried his hardest to help him out. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.